long as it's, all right.
Okay, Dan, you're
I
live.
call the Algonquin Township Board meeting for October 9th, 2019 to order. Welcome, everybody. Everybody. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Karen, you want to take a roll call, please?
I will. Chapman is absent. Ramesh?
Here.
Lawrence?
Present.
Shay?
Sure. All right, we won't do this. I was going to, as a convenience for Fox River Grove, move them up, but we'll go approve the minutes. I'd like a motion. Would you like to take the meeting minutes for September 11th and the 27th together, or do you want to separate them? Do you have any comments? No? All right. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes, both the monthly meeting of September 11th, 2019, and the special meeting of September 27th, 2019.
So
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll have a voice vote. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Hearing no nays, the meeting minutes as stated are passed by unanimous voice vote. The next item will be the order of the bills. First, from the town fund. Oh, what's up? Hi, Bob. I'll move this up. Okay. I'm going to make a change here in the agenda and move. Pardon me?
I was wondering if you saw where it was.
I had it down here. I'm going to move it up here. All right. Since we don't have a motion for that yet, I'd like a motion to approve the proclamation honoring Fox River Grove. I'll read it. Whereas Fox River Grove was incorporated on August 21st, 1919, and whereas Fox River Grove has a rich history and has created a welcoming sense of community for its residents and businesses, and whereas Fox River Grove is nestled on the scenic Fox River, boasting the historic Bettendorf Vianden Castle, Picnic Grove Park, and is home to America's oldest ski club, the Northeast Ski Jump and Club. And whereas Fox River Grove has 100 acres of land dedicated to public parks and open space, and whereas Fox River Grove has consistently provided leadership through elected representatives to the Algonquin Township boards, whereas Fox River Grove lies partly within the boundaries of Algonquin Township, therefore, Algonquin Township does hereby recognize and commend Fox River Grove as the village celebrates its 100th anniversary year, dated at Crystal Lake, Illinois, this 9th day of October, AD 2019. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So
Second.
All right. Anybody want to discuss this? No. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Hearing no opposed, the proclamation honoring Fox River Grove has been passed by unanimous vote. How easy can it be? I got to talk to you.
All right.
As much as I'd like to make a photo shoot out of it,
hang on, move this.
David in here, get him to sign
You
it.
see it?
All right.
What we'll do, we'll get him to sign it and I'll drop it off. Okay, thanks for stopping.
Thank you for that.
Saving a little bit.
You can take a picture later. Right?
Don't have a camera. But
She got her phone.
You're live.
Pardon?
You're on video. You're live.
is it showing up?
Yes, right on
All right, here
YouTube.
we go. Let's do
Oh,
it.
that's over here.
It's playing.
Like, you know,
So the president of Fox River Grove, shaking hands with one of his illustrious,
has been
has been.
former.
We get to clap.
Excellent.
Okay, I was glad to do it. Thank you so much for recognizing Fox River Grove. Algonquin Township was here before Fox River Grove, but we've had a wonderful 100-year celebration. And actually, we have put together booklets, which will have pictures and descriptions of all the interesting things in Fox River Grove. And should McHenry, or should Algonquin Township want copies, I can forward copies to Dan. How many people think you like a copy? Show of hands, I got 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4, 5.
Can you get us a dozen, because we don't have Dave and
Yeah.
we got people in the
Would
office.
council like one too?
You'd
Okay,
be
thank you very
surprised,
much.
remember when they had the Kerry Cares thing, everyone thought because it was that Bev Ebert put together, well, it's just a thing. Now people are begging for them.
Yeah.
The trouble is you gotta stick around for 25, 30 years. Won't be easy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Wes, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now we're gonna move on. I'll read off, this is, the expenditure report for the town fund. The total expenditures are $70,061.73. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this? Hearing none, Karen, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Ramesh,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes. All right, the motion to approve the town fund's total expenditures has passed by a unanimous roll call vote. All right, the next one will be the General Assistance Fund. This is a expenditure report with total expenditures of $11,036.92. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Hearing none, Karen, would you take a roll call vote, please?
yes, Ramesh,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes. The motion to approve the General Assistance Fund expenditures has passed by a unanimous roll call vote. Oops. The next item will be the Road and Bridge Fund. This is the expenditure report with total expenditures of $65,999.47. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion on this?
The only thing I wanted to, and I suppose we're limited in, because, Mr. Gasser, Commissioner Gasser is not here to ask questions, and I didn't have the opportunity to, in between the time I got the information and this meeting, but I noticed on some of the, again, just minor little issues with reimbursements. One of his employees, I believe it's his administrative assistant in the office, she's, Ms. Sandberg has been traveling and doing random things, and then billing for, or applying for reimbursement for food and beverage type per diem sort of things for meals. And I was under the impression that, and I have talked to Commissioner Gasser in the past about what's his policy, what's the road district's policy about reimbursement to travel policy. And he informed me at that time, a couple of months ago, that the road district would be putting together or revising or constructing a policy. However, I haven't received one since that time and nothing's changed since then. But we continue to get these reimbursement requests for travel, for his administrative assistant, or I'm not sure what her exact title is, so forgive me if I have it wrong, but to travel to highway commissioner type events. I see one in there where she was reimbursed mileage, or she's requesting reimbursement for mileage just to drive to McHenry Department of Transportation to deliver some road district paperwork. I would think that if that's part of her job, that it should be part of her hourly wage or salary or however she's being paid. But since, again, we don't have Mr. Gasser here, and I unfortunately was not able to contact him in advance of the meeting, I will go ahead and pass it along, but it's just something I noticed, and maybe we can reach out and clarify with him in the future.
I would think the best thing right at this period would be to remind him. Send him some kind of a written reminder. Okay, any further? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Ramesh,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes, the motion to approve the expenditure report from the road, for the Road and Bridge Fund has passed by a unanimous roll call vote. And the final one is the equipment and building expenditures of $20,949.60. We have a motion?
Sure. So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Ramesh,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes. All right, the motion to approve the equipment and building total expenditures has been passed by unanimous roll call vote. Now we move on. This is public comments. People have a chance to do 3 minutes, and I'll keep track of it, I hope. And just please give your name. You don't need addresses and that. We just have. Did you want to say something tonight, sir?
Yeah.
Please.
Good evening, I'm Joe Gilbert, as you know, Algonquin Township. I've been reading in the paper, they're thinking about putting a referendum in the next election about abolishing the highway commission. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but what I'm reading is not really telling me enough to really make an educated decision about what they're doing there. So it may be to the best interest of the board to have some type of special meeting where people can come and you can explain to them what, obviously there's pros and cons with anything that we vote on. And from what I'm reading, I'm not seeing what the pros and cons are. Either, I don't know how you can communicate with some of these people, send them flyers or something, but it needs to be addressed a little more clear to the people. Because I ask people up and down my street about it, and they know really not much, neither do I, you know, so it needs to be clarified to the people what's going to be happening.
We don't normally bring up a comment on a debate, but that isn't here.
But you guys are not spearheading that, or who is
No, that's
doing it?
McHenry Township.
Well, I thought we were trying
But
to
there
get,
is legislation right now that for any, that, right now it's at various stages. There is legislation that's been passed that applies to all counties or townships within McHenry County. However, it hasn't progressed to the actual referendum stage in this township, like it has in McHenry Township. Oh, I understand what you mean. It should be something that people would like to know and should have an opportunity to educate themselves on.
so was McHenry gonna take all the township road commissioners?
That's not how it
commissioners?
works, but see me after the meeting and we can discuss
Okay, appreciate it.
the details of that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's kind of a break with tradition, but
Yeah.
No reason for you to sit on it.
And that is a good idea. Maybe a town hall type of a meeting, just informative is a good idea. Worth exploring.
Okay, we have no others. All right, the next item will be trustee reports. Does anybody have any trustee report? I do not.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
During the past month, I had several meetings. Among them, I went to the BACOG and MCOG meetings. And I also had a meeting that Darlene is going to speak about regarding the census. And I also had a meeting with Dina about the possibility to bring additional programs and information to Township. We have been working on website improvements, and that is progressing very well. We have added more information to the calendar, so if there's a program on a specific day, you can now find more details about what that program is. And we are still working on bringing even further improvements, such as having a food pantry list for people that are looking for food, to have that more upfront and accessible information. So there's been a lot that's been going on, and in my discussion with Dina, she mentioned that at a previous township, she was involved with a committee for the disabled, and that she might be interested in helping out with that if we were interested in starting such a committee up.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what I wanted to ask you is, the county puts out a help thing for the public, two-sided, what they used to call a pound card. Have you had one of those?
We
And
have,
it lists all the agencies and all
we
that.
have, mhm,
You have one.
yeah, they're up in the foyer.
You don't have one. What I'll do is Pam will get you. What I do is when people ask me, I normally, because I have a few of them at home, and that lists help for handicapped and for all kind, everything, people indigent and everything else for the whole county. But it does take care of people for the whole county. And I don't know if it includes food pantries though. I know the biggest food pantry I know around here is over at the church on Algonquin Road. They have a food pantry.
So we do have a list, but you have to go to our page for general assistance, and at the very bottom of that, there's another page that you have to click on, and it talks about resources, and somewhere in that list, there is a large number of food pantries listed. So that's why I'm saying it's just sort of in there, but it's very
Hard
varied,
to find.
so we want to bring it up to the front, so that's one of the things that we're
Okay.
working on.
Well, I suggest that you get a card from Pam when you get a chance to see what's on there, because it's two-sided and it's not printed this big. You know, it's small. As an old guy, I know it's small, but it just, it does help. And it's, what's really nice about it is rather than trying to explain sometimes to people, it's much easier to give them the card and let them shop. Okay? All right. Did you have something?
There's some that I'll wait because it falls under, it's related to one of the items under new business, but Trustee Ramesh and I will be attending the senior fair October 17th in the morning. It's held at it's in Cary at Saints Peter and Paul Church in the morning. I believe it's from 10 to 12:30. It's a senior health fair, and so we'll be there, you know, passing out some cost efficient, you know, promotional items, as well as along with our resources that we have available here, like the flyer, we have various flyers for for example, computer classes, text preparation when it's time, the various senior offerings that we offer on a regular basis here at the township. So Trustee Ramesh and I are looking forward to that. And then the rest, I think, we'll save for the new business items.
I was gonna say, with all the robocalls, you get all kinds of offers of health care for your back brace, your knee brace, your ankle brace, every kind of brace in the world, and all kinds of insurance, and what a nuisance.
Speaking of which, that reminds me,
Yeah, go ahead.
last, I had previously mentioned, that I had gone through and handled the issue of the equipment, the medical equipment that was sitting around. I also, in anticipation of this expo, I guess you'd call it the senior fair, senior health fair, and also the others upcoming that we don't even have on the schedule yet. We used to, and I could have sworn the township used to have some of these kind of promotional things, like a table cover, like expo related community booth type of supplies, and none of the trustees that I've spoken to or anyone in the offices were able to find any of them. I searched through all the trailers in the back to see if they went through or accidentally thrown in with the tents and chairs and tables that were back in a trailer back there, and I
They're not
was
there
not
anymore?
able to find them anywhere. I looked through every closet. I searched this premises as well as the trailers out back, so I honestly can't even think of another place.
We
to
had
look for them.
discussed, well, they were supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
Now, some of them may have been in a trailer.
I did look in both of the trailers that contain
Yeah.
tent and.
Because we had decided that we did not want to be heavily responsible for the stuff because it came from all different places, Lions Clubs and all that gave it to us, chairs, tables, and whatever else.
Well, they have.
And
their own, yeah.
And let them people use it and then they could return it, but until it kind of burned itself out. There were some shelters too, but that's all gone, huh?
No, we have
No,
all
that's
that.
that.
No, we have that.
Oh,
I'm just talking about the specific items like that we would use at an expo booth for Algonquin Township to engage our citizens, like a sign, a tablecloth, the flyer, holders, these sort of things that you have that bring with you, a sign, a banner, if that's anything like that.
It's been a few years since I did one, but we just had a table and we had a problem because we had to borrow actually from the Boy Scouts or something because of internal problems. But we just had to lay the stuff on the table. In fact, we even borrowed the shelter because we couldn't get someone to put it up.
So I think, just in summary, I think that it would be beneficial if we just went ahead and, ordered a new type of a banner that would hang behind it, like Cary Main Street, for example, that has something that hangs that identifies
Or on the front of a
ourselves, or
table,
a
like-
township, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, not a township, or a tablecloth, or just something that we would use at these sort of,
That kind of
community engagement
stuff
events.
is easy enough, and if we have a place in the budget, we'll go get it. You don't have to go approval or anything else on something like that.
Yeah.
You get one, and
So that's
they
my
usually
advice.
you could for years, as long as you don't put a date on it. So,
So that's all I
yeah, if you
have.
think we should, got an idea, Algonquin Township, whatever, not a bad idea. One of the things that happened is we have no longer had anywhere near the volunteers we used to have that used to help when you had something like carry days and that type of thing. All right, any more, Rachel?
No.
Oh, thank you. All right, the next item will be the department reports, and I believe that's gonna be given to us by Darlene.
I have a few. Karen, do you wanna do any kind of report
All
about
right,
the
well, we'll
Works
start-
department
all
first?
right.
Okay.
We're gonna give, in fact, we got everyone there will get a chance, depending what they have.
No, I have nothing.
Well, that's,
I have the assessor's report, and he said, despite the extra man hours spent on the Valley High rebate, which I got mine, anybody else get theirs?
Yeah.
The 2019 general assessment books were turned over to the county on 9/26/19 on time. My staff did an excellent job of learning and implementing a new system during our first general assessment year together. At this time, we're preparing for the busy appeal season and patiently waiting for our publication date. So that was fantastic from Rich. Andrew had, from the highway department, had emailed everybody, the trustees and everything, his report of everything that's gonna go on. I just told them I would consolidate some of these things. And the highway department, road district, has been very busy with their road work and their sewers and the bridges and all the other things that go along with that. But some of the other additional items, they have their recycling event, which has always been a big hit. And they continue to do it with the paint and the regular recycling. But this last time, they added a food drive onto that. And that resulted in those donations coming in with the people with their recyclables and resulted in boxes of food that then they are dispersing out to the different pantries. So I thought that was a very creative and a nice thing to be.
If you have a list of pantries, in other words, if he gives you a list of whatever he has, you might get it to Elaine, so she would have at least something that she was, because I don't know that there is a specific list.
We have one.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do have one.
Mhm.
All right, well, then you're in good shape.
They did put a new roof on the salt dome, and I know they're waiting for their salt delivery. They've got 3 new plows that they have received. The employees have been done some volunteer work with assisting with the Fox River Grove Centennial Celebration, and that was employees volunteering, so that was really nice. And that the bus program and the recycling program and the road program continue to be successful in trying to address the needs of the community. And that would be it for the road district.
All right,
I
no one
have-
has ever been criticized for having too short a report.
Oh, there's more.
I have a supervisor's report.
All
I just
right,
wanted to be able to speak.
we'll move on to new business.
No, I had the supervisor's
Oh,
report.
you have another one?
Well, the supervisor's
All
report,
right, that's not-
Dan. All right, I'll make it really, really short. We had the,
Thank you, that was very well done. Oh, it's more, there's more than that.
Elaine and I met with the census guy and it was very interesting. And I know they're going along to a lot of the towns and the villages and the libraries and things like that. And from what Algonquin Township may be able to help them out is they're looking for workers. So one of the things that we can do is, especially people coming in for assistance, not even just the ones receiving assistance, but coming in, or just the general population can, get this little flyer now that we have for the workers and what we can do to help them out with maybe on the website, letting them know the local events that are taking place in here. Because the cities and the libraries seem to be more equipped with volunteers and staff to be doing the kind of things that they want to do. So also the lawsuit was dismissed between the road district and the supervisor's office. We had Pam and Chris went up to the Nunda Township Food Pantry, or their food truck thing they do every Friday, which is actually sponsored by the First United Methodist Church of Crystal Lake, First United Methodist Church. And that's a well-oiled machine. They're looking into that. Maybe it's something we may be able to do here. I don't believe on a routine basis, but maybe helping them out maybe once a month or something, because it is a well-oiled machine and they are open to an additional location. So that's just in the groundwork. November 5th, the mobile unit from the Secretary of State will be here. And so that provides people the ability to get all the things that you get at the Secretary of State's office at this location. So, and that's all I'll talk about right now. Oh, one of the things, the number of people receiving assistance from the township was 35. You got anything else to add?
No
Thank you.
report?
No report.
All right, we can live with that. All right. That completes the department reports. We'll move on now to adopt the audit for fiscal year ending 3/31/2019. What I believe we have to put it out. Do we have to put that out for review?
It's available at the supervisor's office.
Oh, it's
As soon as
available, okay,
you-
then it's available in the supervisor's office, a person wants to review it. All right, then we'll need a motion to adopt the audit.
So
We have a motion, and,
Seconded.
okay, now, do you have some discussion on it? Anything? I have nothing. Anything on the audit?
Just that, well, Miller for, I always butcher this, I don't know if it's Vercoda. Okay, Miller Vercoda, Mary Miller, she's been a long time auditor and she's always seems to have done excellent work and been very helpful with the township. But, it just seems like a good practice to switch up auditors every once in a while. I believe Supervisor Litzow had talked about it.
She's not the auditor.
No,
No, we
she
did
said
get a
she had
new
someone.
auditor.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
he did.
she's
do
our
that.
accountant.
Excellent, that's great.
We got a new auditor.
George Roach.
George Roach last year.
Okay.
Okay,
I saw her name on the bill. Maybe.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Do we need I don't remember.
You don't need
Just do it, huh?
Scott.
All right, all those in favor of adopting the audit for the fiscal year ending 3/31/2019, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing no opposition, the audit for fiscal year ending 3/31/2019 is approved by unanimous voice vote. Next item is a discussion and possibly approval for a new lease for a copy machine. Who's gonna present that?
Well,
I believe you're the most knowledgeable. They're allowing you to speak.
I've got the 3 different quotes. I didn't know what everybody wanted to do. Gordon Flesh is our current, who we have the copier with. The lease is up. Like I said in the email, Warehouse Direct kind of cold called on me. I had them come in, they were very nice. I've never worked with them. Proven IT is who the assessor's office went with. So they're very happy with them. So I was kind of leaning towards Proven IT just because we in fact have the machine here and their price was good and the assessor's office is happy with them. So I think Gordon Flesh was a little pricey.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, the third one, you said there was 3, but one didn't answer, or?
Gordon Flesh, who's our current one, did give us a quote. All 3 did. Warehouse Direct and Proven IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
So the proven
You want a copy?
IT is going to
Do we
save
have
us.
that?
when I talked last time, I don't know that we had. All right. So now, as far as the lowest bidder
Mhm.
was,
Proven IT.
okay, all right, then it's easy enough to recommend them if they've got good service and they're the lowest bidder, it makes it almost a slam dunk.
Just to
You have one?
clarify, that didn't go out for bid, it was close.
It's 41% monthly savings, so it's much lower than what's currently being paid for the same number of copies and the same amount of service. So it's really an advantage to do this.
That's a very good thing to bring up. Yes. Do you have something on that?
I did have a chance to go through this and it's been several months and Elaine, you weren't here at the time, but I don't know if anybody else remembers, but I did an analysis at the end of last year. Or maybe even the beginning of this year about, and I contacted Gordon Fleisch, our current lease provider of our copy machine. And I did an analysis of our use versus what we were being charged. And it came out that that when I did an average of what we were paying per copy, we were paying up to some months as high as 75 cents.
Because
Should have been going to UPS.
Because we would pay for an allotment. No, we would pay for an allotment, and then we would only use like 300 black and white or color copies that month. Or, we wouldn't use the whole allotment, or sometimes we would have to pay an overage because one month we were over it. So, I did an analysis of the average for the whole year. I went back a whole year through all the bills for a year and did an analysis of what we paid on average per copy, and it was way over what you could walk into Kinko's and pay half the price of what we were paying for color copies, photocopies, and all that, just for the convenience of having a copy machine in our, and that didn't even include paper. When you walk into Kinko's, it includes paper. So I have had a chance to look over all of these in detail. My absolutely not is my vote with renewing with Gordon Flesh. I am interested in Warehouse Direct's quote, but the one thing that it's lacking is it doesn't say what the overage charge is, whereas with Proven IT, one of theirs, in fact, the one that I like the most is, the numbers pages aren't numbered here, but it's a proposed solution Xerox C7030. It does everything that our current copier does. It also delivery, install, pick up, store, and return currently. Okay, and then service allotment is color 1,500, overage 5 cents. I think the overage was 10, or I'm not sure. I have to check. Black and white, 3,200 per month. The lease cost would be $249. $249 is a saving of $194, 41% monthly savings. And the overage is half a penny for black and white. Now, the only other thing that I would like to note, and we're gonna have to remind people who use that copy machine, is that it automatically defaults to color. So if you have a black and white sheet of paper that has a little red mark on it with red pen, and you hit copy without seeing that it's on color mode, that's, a color copy. We need to train our staff and
One up there does that.
Okay, so we need to default to black and white unless people said it otherwise. Even now, if it's possible, we need to change that. But this is the one that I would go with, is the Proven IT proposed solution Xerox C7030 is the one that I like the most. Followed by my second choice was
Just
the Canon. And it says inner finisher. I'm not quite sure what that means. I'll have to ask. But 4 cassettes, includes delivery and install. The only other thing is in the front. Let me see if I can find it. It does one of the differences is that there's remote service. Okay, loaner equipment available. Hold on. Maybe it was the only difference is that, okay, so the only reason why I'm still interested in the Warehouse Direct though, but I need to know what their overage charge is, because to me, the fact that there's a difference between Proven IT and Warehouse Direct is that Warehouse Direct says that they include, where is it? Include maintenance, including toner. Now toner, that's an expense that I did some research on when I did this last time. The type of toner for these can range anywhere from, depending on where you buy it from, $75 to $300, depending on where you're buying it from and which model you're looking at. But If they're including toner, that's a humongous cost, and for $267.22 for the warehouse direct quote for their, the CS, what is it, the CS 2553 CI, that might be worth it, actually, because it includes toner, even with the difference in price.
I will, call them tomorrow and find out.
Excellent.
Finishers are things like staplers and,
Collating?
collating things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we do have a stapler and right next to collating, do you guys use collating?
Not I haven't ever really used collating. But I think that's pretty standard on machines now.
These types of machines, they
Stapling
most do
and
it, yeah.
collating and all that are, I'm almost certain that Proven IT does include toner, but I will double check it tomorrow with them.
Okay, if it does, then, yeah. But since this one says toner, the only thing I need to know is the overage charge on warehouse direct. But-
Okay.
All right, where are we? We haven't made because we're gonna need something, the other one runs out.
The other lease is out, so we're just doing a month to month right now,
Okay,
so.
So we can, at the next, meeting, I believe we'll
well,
have
as
the
of now,
information
we
to take
can
action.
do a provisional approval, which includes approval contingent upon whether or not the toner is included from these other people, because everything else seems to have met what people want out of Proven IT.
I'm not gonna make that motion. I would, if I were to make a motion, it would be to continue for 1 month, on a non-contract basis. The other thing that come to think of it is, I'd like to know the lease, terms, the length of time.
60 months.
60 months, so 5 years, so just like the last one. And is there a buyout? Those are things that I'm gonna contact you about after the meeting.
Okay.
But if I were to make a motion today, it would just be to, take no action until the next meeting, or to table this to the next meeting, continue on a non-contract month-to-month lease until next month.
Can't hurt us if just pay what we're paying now for another month. These people will sit on this. These people that bid, it's not something like they said you got 30 days.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, did you want to make a motion that we,
I'll just make a motion that we take no action on it, signing a new lease, with regard to our copy machine, and that we continue with our current, Gordon Fleisch, on a month-to-month for 1 more month, and revisit this topic at our next monthly board meeting.
that's a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. All right, is there any further discussion now that we've had all that discussion?
Did you say until next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, this does not involve expenditure particularly. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, the motion to effectively continue this till next month has been passed by unanimous.
That's for the next issue. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. Approval to enter into a communication services agreement with Wisdom
Bridge.
Wisdom Bridge. Oh, okay, marketing, I thought that was the next line. Marketing and to expend up to $15,000 to produce a newsletter with the first issue in 2019. I was gonna say, we don't usually do stuff with Wisdom.
So we are looking into how we can create a newsletter for the residents. And we have had meetings and communications with Wisdom Bridge Marketing. And we had some preliminary information for everyone to look at. And Since that time, very recently, trustee Lawrence has done some additional research, so I'll let her present what she wants to present tonight.
So, thank you. I gave you each a folder. There's a couple of different separate things. So the first two items you're gonna find is a quote, and then just something I threw together myself with Microsoft Publisher. It's just a completely rudimentary thing that's been done just on my own computer. The second thing that you'll find paper clipped is a 6 pages that was acquired by trustees Ramesh and or Chapman with Wisdom Bridge Marketing LLC. This is, and I've read through this is actually a contract. It's a proposal for consultation, but then it also is a communication services agreement. And I've read through it in detail. It states it's a consulting agreement, so contract and billing policy. So this Wisdom Bridge Marketing Company, this is a proposed contract again, where they are basically, this is like a full service concierge type, it's a marketing company. First and foremost, it's a marketing company. It's not a printing house, it's not a mailing house, it's not a graphic designer, although they do that. It's a marketing firm. And I guess I'll cut to the chase. Okay, so they have this big proposal with primary strategies. I mean, they're just absolutely initiatives, short-term initiatives, tactics, estimated completions. It's literally a marketing firm. Strategies include expanding awareness, improving constituent understanding. I don't see the difference between those two. Inform, remind communities of event. I mean, the first 3 items all seem redundant and the same to me. The second, 4th and 5th bullet points are provide coaching and communication support to board and township staff. I don't know how a marketing firm could help our township board. And then assist leadership with evaluation of program outcomes and reviewing effectiveness of communication strategy. Once again, I want to reiterate, this is a marketing firm. This is not if we want to do a newsletter, we can do a newsletter.
Neither one of them.
And it's not going to cost $75 an hour billed in quarter-hour increments. That includes travel, with email, communication, parking, tolls. It's literally like an open-ended contract. We have an estimate here included in here that is marketing, one line item, marketing, consulting, graphic design, $750, where they present a few different mastheads. That's why I threw together this thing in one day, and I included a copy with you. I threw this together in one day on my computer with Microsoft Publisher. If I can do this in one day, imagine what I can do with a month, or if we do this on a quarterly basis with several months, you know? I mean, we don't need to pay a marketing firm to develop a newsletter for us, in my opinion. We also have a line item for graphic design. We have a line item for copywriting. So we're literally hiring someone to market Algonquin Township. I don't believe that marketing has any place in government. I believe that the primary and really sole purpose of a newsletter, if we decide to do it, is to inform and engage residents. Period. That's it. Full stop. To serve our residents, not to market to them. We are not a for-profit company. We're not marketing anything. We want to inform and serve our constituents, in my opinion. And I confirmed as such when sorry, I'm getting off topic. So let's go down to printing. The 4th line item on this estimate is printing. Their total quantity that they're estimating is 39,244 for a 6-page Algonquin newsletter, final size 8.5 by 11, 4 color process, 2 sides with blades, medium cover, 60-pound white matte text paper. Just for reference, this is 80 pound. 60 pound is what you would find in like those coupon books that you get in the mail. It's very, very thin. So that is, just for reference, that is the newsletter that that's Nunda Township's most recent newsletter. That's 80-pound paper. It's, they designed it in-house. It's very informative. Each department contributed. It's completely informative and helpful to residents. Contains their own pictures. They did it. I talked to the supervisor, Jennings in Nunda Township just today about how they did it. And he said, well, we did it ourselves. I think it looks great. And this is 80-pound paper. So they're quoting thinner paper than this. For $10,226. But I'm not done yet. Delivery to the Crystal Lake Post Office, $100. Then they would have to purchase a mailing list. Then we have, $1,749 would be a one-time charge, they say, for mailing list. So for a total of not a total, and I'll get to that in a second, a total of $14,175, and that's before they've even consulted on, with township officials who are creating the content or dictating what the content is to be on this. For example, they have a detailed budget for Algonquin Township communications included in here. Constant contact newsletter, meetings with trustee Elaine or any trustee who is involved, billed at $75 per hour. Public media relation consultations, phone or in person, just to talk to them on the phone, billed at $75 per hour as requested by township, billed in quarter-hour increments. Monthly consulting on a monthly basis. We're not even putting this out we're not even proposing putting on a monthly newsletter. Monthly consulting on constant acquire topics from content, copywriting requested edits. Copywriting, again, they're creating content for us rather than us telling our communicating directly with our constituents. They're marketing for us. I don't believe we need that. 3 hours per month they're estimating. Content calendar develop, phone calls, emails, hour and a half per month. Public relations, monthly public relations, local press copywriting edits, internal privilege distribution to media. I mean, this is just a monthly estimated communications consulting budget, not even having to do with a newsletter. $562.50 per month. I don't think that this is the way to go about it. I think that if we're going to have a newsletter, we can pull up something like I created in one day, just like Nunda's, which looks fantastic, has all of their information, was sent out in a bulk rate. They created their own content in-house, which included input and participation from each of the departments, as well as other just things to keep in your vehicle this winter at the bottom, as well as important events, road district news, assessors, clerk's corner, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is perfect. And I brought this along because we could have something like this, and even better, because this is what I did in one day, for much less. And that brings me to my next quote. I was able to visit one of the 2 places that I wanted to visit, or get a quote from, I should say. I visited both. I got a quote from one in time for the meeting today to show how just completely exorbitant and just over the top. Not that Wisdom Bridge marketing company wouldn't do a wonderful job. I just think that it's not a fit for what we need and the objective of our newsletter. I did get a quote from a company in Prairie Grove, Illinois, right here on 176. It's actually Crystal Lake, but their mailing address is Prairie Grove, whatever. So to press run, just like this Nunda Township's newsletter that they created. So they created the content and the graphic design, just like I whipped together here. They created their own content on 80-pound glossy, full color, double-sided, 11 by 17 folded in half paper. They sent it out to a mailing list. They're obviously much smaller township than us, but they sent it to, a much smaller mailing list. And they did it, at any rate, my point is that the quote that I got from this one place is exactly like this. This paper, this size, this paper, this color, everything. Press run, and I also spoke with Assessor Rich Alexander and we worked together to figure out a mailing list of literally the mailing addresses of the township, because if we don't do, if we go through and I also met with someone at the post office as well about EDDM, which is every door direct mail, because there's lots of variables in doing a mailing of this nature. If we did EDDM, which is through the post office, then it would cost for this size over $1.17 for this size, and that's only if, that's only if we bought a permit, which is a $235 application fee and a $235 per year. Then we would get the discounted rate of $1.15 per year. However, this quote, to have exactly the same thing as this, press run of, so we came up with a list with the assessor. We have a press run, a quote of $35,000, because I also have some work to do with that list to break down commercial properties. There's some issues with apartment buildings and getting apartment numbers, but, which I can handle myself. Press run of approximately, this is just a ballpark, between 32 and 35,000, 11 by 17, full bleed, full process color on 80-pound gloss text, full color, folded to 8.5 by 11, $3,080 for the printing alone. Prep mailing. So this vendor would actually process the supplied list, adding the post office walk sequence for optimal rates. He would, in the printing, while he's printing it, address the pieces using the mail merge, using the Excel document that the assessor and I put together for automation mail, sack and deliver them to each zip code for the ideal rate. And then for a grand total, no monthly, we give him the file of the finished product, and he puts his permit and the address on here in this box that we leave empty for him. And he does that for free. He'll talk to you for free. If you want to change something, if you have a last minute edit, he does it for free. This is not a marketing company. This is a printing house. That's what we need, in my opinion. Great for a grand total for postage, shipping, delivery, printing, folding, everything all included, for a grand total of this is an estimate of $32,148 mailed, $10,192.28, including postage. Oh, I forgot to say Wisdom Bridge Marketing doesn't even include postage. So this is just to show that I would urge my board members to please allow me to do some more research. I was able to do this just to show that this Wisdom Bridge is not a good idea not a good fit for us. It's a great fit and a great fit for people who want to market their businesses or coupon clipper or whatever, magazines, regular publications. But for us, we don't need it, in my opinion. And I would urge my vote. I would urge that we take an alternate route.
Elaine, did you want to jump in?
No.
All right, well, I'll throw my 2 cents in.
Sure.
It's when we did send a newsletter, which is a long time ago, probably 5 years or better since we sent one, it was around 10 grand is what it was.
Paper prices fluctuate.
That's
really.
just so you know.
Yeah.
And I agree with 100%. At the McHenry County Historical Society, we have a book, or had a, when I was on the board, we had a thing put out called a tracer. We switched to the cover being color glossy and the acceptance went through the roof. I mean, it was a difference between sending something out that people look at and throw in the garbage compared to reading them. Also, I've mentioned before, and it's lucky that Bob Nunemaker didn't stick around. When you're mailing stuff out that's on a permit, the post office has a requirement that it be within 5 days. Found out quite often back when I was in the village that even though everything was sorted by address the way you have to, taken in there by hand, it still wasn't out for 5 days. So they sat on it. And I have to tell you, right now, the last newsletter that Fox River Grove put out is a fold like that. I have no idea what white paper, multicolored, beautiful thing. But it was announcing a couple of things that already were passed by the time it got to us. And also something that we don't do particularly is it had like water department stuff that was not necessary was added. It wasn't part, it was another sheet inside where they have to report for the year and things of that nature. So, and I wanted to see if we are set at all. Is it tentative that we're gonna put out maybe 2 a year or 1?
It's up to whatever one wants.
Well, that's all right. What did you think?
Well, there's a lot of factors, and I was actually going through these because before we, I mean, the specificity of this agenda item doesn't allow us to take any action today, because really it's so specific about this one contract. So that's really the only action that we could take is on this one contract. But we can discuss, and I did a lot of research actually. First of all, before we do anything, we need to establish what is our objective with this newsletter. And to me, that is simply, solely to inform and serve our residents and engage our residents. That's it, period. And then we also need to deal with the frequency. Like you said, is it going to be biannually? Is it going to be quarterly? Most of the other
See how much
townships are quarterly.
overage also when you get them.
Now also.
Because you always want to have some that you leave in libraries and things
Right.
of that nature.
Right.
For people to pick up, even whether they do or don't, it's another story, whatever, but you should have maybe even like we have here, the village halls have a few,
Mhm.
and that.
Yeah.
Who's gonna drop them
So-
off, we'll see.
And then content, we have to sort through, does Andrew Gasser want to be involved? I just did actually get a hold of him today on email. He responded that he is interested in contributing some content about, at least very rudimentary, informative content about road district and things that are going on.
Well, you
So-
also need a person responsible for approval or disapproval of what's to be put in it.
And that
And
would
it
be,
should be an individual rather than having to come through this whole group. There's, but as I understand it, there wasn't particularly other departments that may be important to have some of their information in there, but are not willing to participate financially.
and I'm willing to do that. Now, the other things like, all the different variables that are involved in, that we should have, decide or at least have an idea or at least an agreement on what we want before we even think about signing any kind of contract. Oh, by the way, this is my quote was not a contract, it's a one-time deal. And if we continue, he said, running this job quarterly would save approximately 5 to 10% of this portion of the invoice. So that's the prep mailing. So, it's just to show that there's other ways to do it to get the job done to accomplish our objective. Then there's a production and design. I'm willing to do that as evidenced by, this. This is really crap, and it still looks decent, and I just threw this together. And it'd be timely
You want a
information,
second opinion?
when it's time.
Still looks
No.
decent.
When it's, you know, when it takes to assess, people get their assessments in the mail, give them some information about how is my property assessed? How can I, you know, appeal my tax returns? You know, timely information relevant to the period, the quarter that it's being
We
sent.
should have a list to review what the concerns are. It should be a written list of what our concerns, so people can decide ahead of time how they feel about it. Elaine's been working on something on this quite heavily. Are you at all were you working with Dave, or were you working with, Rachel,
In terms of what?
of looking at a newsletter?
I've just begun looking into this, and I invited trustee Lawrence to attend a meeting with Wisdom Bridge and get some questions answered, and it hadn't fit her schedule yet, so some of the things that she's bringing up can be addressed, and the contract is something that is fluid and changeable.
Well, actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there is one thing that's not changeable, and that's that Wisdom Bridge Marketing is a marketing group. In fact, when I spoke to the owner on the phone today, he confirmed that they don't even do printing or mailing. In fact, I said, well, what if we provided content to you? Could we save on that?
Right, and that
He
was-
said, we probably wouldn't even take that job.
that
So
was
he
one of
outsources that. So why don't we cut out the middleman?
the copy part. We had a discussion, that we could provide copy or he could produce copy, either way.
He told me today the opposite.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't in on that meeting. But anyhow, so in answer to your question, I was working on it. I have taken a preliminary meeting, and now we have some different information in front of us, and so that is the answer to the question.
One thing I just wanted to address with, was something that you said is, what did you say? Trustee Shay, you mentioned, the frequency. So we need to know, we need to have this set out of, you know, on a regular basis. We need to coordinate with the different departments about, hey, who's gonna create this content? Who's gonna design? I'm offering to do it. I enjoy doing things like this. You know, you send me an article, I'll type it up. I'll spell check it, whatever. I'm not gonna change anything, you know. I can take pictures, you know, we can I took this picture of our township today from my cell phone and put it in there in 4 minutes and publish it at my laptop in the upstairs office. So, like, you know, we can take our own pictures of our own events. We can take pictures of our we don't need a marketer to do these things. The other thing we need to decide is, okay, so there's so many factors involved: printing, the postage, the various different methods of postage. And I have delved into this. I have experience with this outside before I was a trustee, and there are various different methods and rates of postage. Mailing list. Developing the mailing list. Do we want to target just residential? Do we want to target every single, you know, businesses as well? Do we want to, and then the frequency, like you said.
Well, let me get back to your earlier, go back page. Many of the people that do the printing also can do the postage and mailing list. Many of those people, that's the business they're in, rather than any other business. So I'm throwing this out there just for the sake of knowing that it's out there.
I also, like I said, I have experience with this in the past. Providing your own mailing list, which is ideally, the ideal mailing list is one from our own, developed from a starting point from our own assessor and expanded into the apartments for those commercial residential buildings. And that, as well as like going over maybe 500 or so to pass out and have.
Well, you have a lot of people maybe that are renters that would not be involved in the assessor's list.
But it's still a mailing address. We're everything that would be, and that's something we address as well. The name would not be on it. It would be current resident or township resident at, and then address. So the name would not be approved, not be printed on there. We discussed that. So it's.
How would you know, say across the street from me is a 12-unit building, but it's only got one person's name for the one that owns it?
The names are not part of the
Or even if
mailing
it
list.
isn't. So
Every
the
single
post office
mailing
just throws a dozen out there, or-
No, that's the thing, so, okay, so out of the mailing list that I've gone through, if you wanna go into detail, out of the mailing list that I was given over 32,000, addresses. Of those, the ones that are multi-unit commercial but multi-unit residential, which are basically apartments or duplexes or, apartment A, lower floor, upper floor, whatever. Of those, there's only 59. So 59 of those are ones that I can do myself. In one day, I can get each apartment number. I have my own methods of getting each apartment number or the full address for each of those to expand those into every single household. That's 59 out of 32,000. So I can do that. I'm willing to put in the work to do that. I can do that in a day.
All right, you're gonna be doing all this, are you gonna charge us for the midnight oil?
Yeah. You have to be.
It'll
No, actually it won't, because it's really, this is not very hard. I mean, maybe for some people it is, but for me, it's not. The other thing that I wanted to mention is this isn't just me going off on a tangent, which maybe it is kind of actually. But I did talk to both previous and former and current township officials who were responsible or integral in producing and mailing these township newsletters for their own respective townships. And neither one of them used a graphic designer or a marketing firm. They produced their content themselves. And there was absolutely no, I mean, just the price point, $10,000
Against 15.
for, well, I mean, granted, the other one is like 6 pages. I can't imagine 6 pages double-sided. That's 12 really of single-sided pages of content. I can't imagine generating that on a quarterly basis. But
6
maybe.
pages usually was a fold with one stuck in the center.
Okay, so 6 faces, you mean, like
Yeah,
the
usually when
face?
they said pages, they bill by the page sometimes. And it's usually a case of a fold with one stuck inside.
Okay, well,
Just
at any
for
rate, that
my
one's 6.
experience with it.
But it's
I
even
have-
the thinner paper, and he showed me a sample of the 60 pound, because I asked him what was the 60 pound, and it was literally one of those coupon sticker books. So that's the type of paper that.
All right, you have quite a bit
But
more.
the last thing I wanna say is I did
Okay.
talk to these people as well to see how because even though I have experience with bulk mailing myself, I don't necessarily have experience with the township newsletter part of it. So I did talk to 2 former, one current, one former, township officials who did create these and have done these. Nobody used a marketing firm as well. Oh, turnaround, that's what I wanted to address. You said that there was some issue with receiving. That was a question that I addressed with this gentleman who gave me the quote. He said that I asked him, what's the turnaround time? From the time, say that I give you the finished product in whatever document form, PDF or publisher format that he wants, I can email it over to him. And from him, he said 5 days max until it's delivered. It's printed completely and delivered to the post office. And they say allow 3 days, but he says it's usually 2 days until it arrives in the post office from when he drops them off. So that can be, but he said he was being very conservative, very honest. He said, so it can be at the earliest 5 days from the time that I receive it in my inbox, the finished product, until up to 2 weeks.
All that says is just don't try to be too close.
Right, so he said
Give
2
it a number of
weeks
days, whatever
maximum.
you're projecting to
Right.
where it can't go wrong. If it comes 5 days early to the people, great.
Now, the last point, and then I'll shut up, is that,
But that's the fourth last thing.
did I? I'll have to review the video, rewind the video. So the only thing is that postage, it has to be paid, they won't start any work until if they receive the check. So that means we'd have to vote on it and then not mail the check, and I or someone else can run the check over to him and he can start the
We
project.
can approve postage ahead of time, that's not a problem. If you know what it is, it's not a problem, you can be a month ahead, you just don't give it to them until it's time, that's no big deal.
So that is my suggestion.
After all this, do you have anything to add, Elaine?
I have an
Well, come on.
interjection.
Add something. That's all right. All right. As I stated earlier,
Darlene
oh,
wants to say
you have something.
Okay, in the planning process, keep in mind also that this really hasn't been put much into the budget. $9,600 is in the printing part of the budget, but the postage does not have that much in it to cover. So if 9,600 was gonna cover it for everything, then that could be that. Otherwise, there's gonna have to be an appropriation involved in it. So,
I do not see us getting this out before the next.
well, I'm just saying, because you're talking
I
about
would like to be,
the
but
moving parts of it. And
So we're not actually buying, so were you, if we were to go through this, well, any bulk rate, company or either a mail house or EDDM, which is terrible and not the way to go in my opinion. Even if we were to do that, we're not paying the post office directly. We're paying to use their, and then that's a cost, that's not a markup, by the way. We're paying this vendor to use their permit, and they do not mark up the
Gotcha.
postage. So the
Gotcha.
printing, and I'll give you a copy of this too, is that the printing itself, and he breaks it down, the press run, the printing portion itself is $3,080. Prepping the mailing for the supplied list, which is I don't know, a service, I don't even know which line item that would fall under, I'm sure there's one, would be $1,607.40. Running this check quarterly would give a discount, so a total of $5,504.88 for postage, and he breaks it down, but we're still paying him now, we're not paying the post office now, so this is included in a
bill. So
before I see us being able to open meeting, discuss this and get a decision, we need a listing of the concerns and ups and downs to go with it. Now, do you have a bunch of concerns, the ups and downs, that maybe you could work back and forth with Rachel and put this together so
It sounds like she's really gung ho on it, so I think she should do it.
that she should, okay, well, good idea. Rachel, oops.
Sorry, what did you say? Then the mail you one? See, that's the pitfall of EDDM, every door direct mail, because even though you live in Algonquin Township, you get a NENDA. And so that's the pitfall of it, is because although, and I met with Ed, who is the bulk mail technician at Crystal Lake Post Office, I met with him in person, and he said they can break it down by zip code or routes. They cannot break it down by townships. They can do county, they can do, and then, just the various breakdowns within the county. But just the fact that you get one from NUNDA shows that EDDM is not the way to go. Our own assessor's list is the way to go.
Okay.
And it saves money. We don't need to pay somebody to make it.
Are you willing to share whatever you put together in the first place? Are you willing to take this on?
Yeah. I mean, I already made one. I just need some content.
Okay, all right. And then we are not going to be moving forward with approval, strictly discussion. Okay. What we'll have to say is further discussion is pending upon receipt of the materials. We'll move on. There's no need for executive session or approval of executive minutes. We'll now ask any other business to come before the board. I have some. Has everybody got a couple?
Your time's
couple-
short.
couple hours? All right, two things. We have some surplus equipment here, and there's a question about getting rid of surplus equipment. We have a large number of phones, and there's also, I think, we've got a bunch of office chairs too, right? With everything sitting in that other room, what's the story on that? In the kitchen, those are surplus also. The sheriff used to run an auction, but it may be too late to catch up with, usually it's in October, up in Woodstock. I don't know if this sheriff does,
The
huh?
county,
The county,
county does, yeah.
the county does. And I don't know that we have to go forward with approval on that, because that's a government deal, and we never did before. And there is, I hate to see this stuff trashed, because there is a market value for some of that stuff, and I would like to have someone look into it and see. I'd rather see us market it even for very relatively little than have it trashed or get nothing. So, I know that when I just saw the stuff up in, that the county did sell, they had office chairs and other things like that. I don't, like I said, it's an auction, you get only so much, but it may be worth looking into.
Can I ask you, Jim, does that have to be approved if we were selling our stuff? Does that have to be approved at annual town meeting?
I was just sitting here thinking when Dan was discussing it, when there have been some changes to the law, but I thought in the past we had been adopting an ordinance that allowed for the sale of, or a resolution allowing for the sale of surplus equipment at the town meeting, and I don't know if we did it this last time. If we did, then no other action needs to be taken. However, some of this property is of de minimis value. I don't, Dan may want to sell it, but it can be sold. I just don't know. I think that you may have a resolution allowing for the sale of that equipment, of used equipment, and I just don't know. But I think you should have it approved in an annual meeting. So.
All right, well,
I just
then,
remember Andrew
I
wanted
hate
to
to
sell.
sit on all that stuff, it's been sitting
But
on it
he,
so long.
I don't know if there was a resolution. I don't.
There was some kind of a resolution allowing for, I think, the sale of the trucks, I think.
Generally, I just don't recall from this last meeting, but you had in the past, had a resolution that allowed the sale of any surplus equipment that the board deemed was surplus, or the road district deemed surplus, and allowed you to get rid of it. I just don't know if you passed that this time around.
Well, we should look into it, because like I said, it's a crying shame, because I had a good friend that worked in stuff like the phones and all that stuff, and although they're out of date to us, there's other places that maybe have 27 of them and 3 of them aren't working, and they go to certain people that supply and buy the old ones to fit in their system, because that's what fits in their system. But just to throw them into electronics recycling, it's just a shame that it goes chump, and it's gone. All right, that's all I had on that. Anybody else? None, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None. Folks, we're adjourned at 8.
No secret meetings?
I want to see Jim.
23.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
One has a roll.
And a half.
We're gonna get to the
And
exciting
one
part.
has a stamp.
Okay, well, thank you for all your labor.
I don't know, so I couldn't.
I love your
change it if I wanted to.
Oh, the middle oranges.
I was like.
How you doing, kid?
I'm doing all right. How are you this evening?
Good to see you.
Yeah,
I know
just.
I want to start thinking about, your recycling, maybe better in every month, like you said, plastic market, all that market has changed.
I had to throw this together, like,
Even aluminum cans.
and it's
It's pretty
gonna
down.
work. I was like, I need to
It
do
wasn't right
something
now.
right away because
There is an avenue,
I can show them that we can do the
possible
house.
goal.
And actually, this will go to
Recycling
the
it for
full
TVs.
corner. That's what they
And
mean by
it's
full
kinda like
page.
on a-
It won't be
the
border.
government, you can,
So it'll
as a
look
government
professional,
drop
like
off, instead of just like everything back
Actually,
here.
Everybody's charging. See,
Right.
they charge
And
you.
see, if you go with the government,
They can create
like, it's for you,
And they just
for
work
you.
with that.
But
you know, and
the
that's
government
what we
would
do.
subsidize.
That's the efficient thing to do.
We had that.
And you can be-
See, we never had
That's
phase
such-
four, right, just with the new management.
Oh, yeah.
And you can customize it from there, and I just, I would
But it's all like, I'll try and find a little bit to-
spend
Find something, we'll look.
you
You
know,
know,
if we
we'll
did.
just pass it, you guys can look at it.
And I
There's
spent
would be, I think, helpful in the future,
much time
as
as
things
like,
are changing. And that
required to do it, it was awesome.
You leaving us, kids?
Yep, good night. It's good, if not better than.
Bye, Elaine.
Bye, Elaine. See ya.
Yeah, I need
Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just
Something
not
good
for
was
our
going on.
needs.
I don't know where you make it. Crystal Lake South High School, you know, not every kid is going for college. Everybody.
I made a tweet like that at CMAC in
Do you
Chicago.
need help carrying anything up here?
Crystal Lake South is actually gonna, they went.
I'll get this later.
And you can sign up with your parents and your child. They would give you a tour, this is about hiring, they give you information.
Is this PDF?
That might be helpful, yes.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
little documents.
Well,
I made sure.
no, there was like
Awesome.
contingencies on it, final dismissal.
The speech castle.
This one.
There was an agreement to dismiss, but at the last meeting.
Nobody
were
seems to
you here at the last
realize
meeting? Or we had a
that
special
individuals are
meeting. We got a
individuals, but
special-
with
we
a
had a
family
special-
group,
okay, so
there are
here's the
people.
minutes.
Well, I'll change this one.
Yeah, because I was actually just gonna change both of them,
Yeah.
but the one I couldn't because it was,
You changed the other one?
I did not.
I don't know why I say the PDF, I usually do it in Word.
Highway.
Yeah.
Or highway
Highway
to
to
road district on like all the accounts. And even though the, really wasn't required, the bank asked the board to do it, and so we did it because that was the way that the bank wanted it done. And now that that's done, it was officially. Okay, that's all good for the stuff that was. Yeah, it was already to be dismissed, but we just had to take care of it. Yeah.
Actually do.
Okay, this one's changed.
Finalized, done.
Monday.
Save.
Monday. Okay, yep.
It's on to that.
No problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain that.
Okay, I'll take care of this and then I'll send it to, I'll put it on the website, correct it.
Good night.
Sometimes.
Are you going up?
You can look this up. I don't know.
I'm going up. I'm gonna sign them now, I'll be done with it.
There is actually an already.
There was